you threw away. Maybe it was a broken charger, a coffee cup, a worn-out shoe, or the packaging from your last online order. Where is it now? How many of us know exactly what happened to that product after disposal? To be honest, I don't, and that's sad. So are we ready to redesign products so they are smarter from the start? To treat materials not as disposable, but as valuable assets that must keep circulating. And that's exactly what our next panel discussion is about, from design to disposal, product innovation, data, and material efficiency. To moderate the session, I now invite on the dais our moderator, Mr. Sandeep Kumar Mohanty, PwC Partner Sustainability Transformation, IBT1 Consulting. May we have a round of applause for Mr. Mohanty. Welcome, sir. And I invite our panel members, Mr. Surya Valluri, Chief Sustainability Officer, Grasim Industries. Welcome, sir. Dr. Neeru Bansal, Chief Sustainability Officer, Cement Business, Adani Group. Can we have those claps? Yeah, thank you. Ms. Pratibha Dewett, Chief Sustainability Officer, Lucro Plastecycle. And Ms. Nishtha Gupta, Group Head, Sustainability and ESG, Suzlon Energy Limited. Thank you, panelists, and over to you, Mr. Mohanty.
Hello. So good afternoon all. I'm Sandeep Mohanty. I'm a partner in climate and sustainability practice in India. And it's a privilege to be moderating this session on circularity and to have such an esteemed panel with us. We are in a decade where material efficiency isn't just a sustainability priority, but it's rather a business imperative. Today, we just heard that India hasn't peaked till now. We are urbanizing faster than ever before. In fact, our material footprint is going to set to double by 2040. What it means is that organizations who are winning will be ones that will build and design for circularity, that will use fewer resources, and be more, generate more value from waste, as we heard from our first panel. So with that, our goal today is simple. How do we move from pilots to scale? And how do we move from compliance to competitiveness and design products that are sustainable by nature? So with that, let me move to the most foundational sector within circularity, which is chemicals, and we'll start with you, Surya. Chemicals is probably one of the most materials intensive sector that we see today. So what has been the one transformational innovation that your organization has done on circularity, which has actually delivered business value? And can you talk us a little through about the impact that it has delivered?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you, BC, for having me here. And it's very, energetic discussions over the last two sessions I've been seeing here. I think most of you know what is Grasim. Grasim is a conglomerate. It's a flagship company of Aditya Birla Group with multiple sectors we are into. We are into chemicals, fibers, paints, textiles, and B2B, etc. And if you want me to give an example, I'll give you one of our advanced material, which is epoxy resins. We are now currently producing some of the resins which are having almost 100% circularity, that we are reusing the material back into that. And if you take our textile products, we have actually invented Liva Reviva in our MMCF product, which is where we are patented technology and developed our own technology and commercialized, that is with 30% cotton pre-consumer waste. And now we are doing a pilot, and we are investing on the research on the mechanical recycling for that. But the fundamental question, more than the impact, is I'll talk about impact at a later stage, but are we ready for circularity? That is a big question. And I think the biggest problem in this is just today morning I happened to hear the New York Post, one of the circularity story about the lead batteries, the lead that is being circulated back into that. And it will be like astonishing to see the kind of things that are happening. All these batteries are being collected. They are going into some third world nations like Nigeria and all. And then people are using manually in that process, getting highly exposed to lead. And at the same time, there were some companies which invested in this business. They have invested heavily, highly automated, mechanized, but that company has gone out of the business because they could not survive the competitiveness. And secondly, the industry was not paying them enough for the money that they have invested in that circularity. So we need to first understand whether are we ready for circularity. I'm very happy to hear the last fireside chat on the circularity of the used cars, where there is a significant amount of money that is being brought back to the consumer, whoever or the vehicle user, where he will be benefiting by recirculating his used vehicle. That is need of the hour. The policy intervention, which probably in terms of taxation or in terms of incentives or in terms of providing them the benefits of getting the feedstocks at affordable prices, is one of the intervention that is required, which we have seen in that case in the last month. And the other thing is the brands and the entire value chain need to continue to speak, need to brand around the circularity. Today there is absolutely no branding on this. And yesterday I was really happy that the professor was actually trying to ask many questions. How many of you know about it? Hardly anybody knew about what are the policies around it. So we need that kind of publicity about these things. If I take one of the most talked about sector, that is textile industry. In textile industry, circularity is the most important element, and then everyone talks about it, right from the brands, right from policymakers, consumers, everyone. But why it is not advancing, why it is not moving forward? The main reason is the lack of awareness, lack of brand building around circularity, and lack of passing on the cost. And one point on that again is, it is the scalability that brings the competitiveness. And the scalability will come when the consumers are aware and then start using it. This is a vicious circle we are getting into, and we are not able to really crack that. Unless the policy and the consumer are actually aware of this point, it's only just a talk, and we will have very less amount of advancement in circularity. Now, one of your questions is what impact that is we are creating with this. I'm very happy to say that our epoxy resin, that circularity product, has actually transforming the business, and most of the customers, especially in wind turbines, blades and all, they are showing a lot of interest, and they wanted to use that product. That's a major success story for us, and that's a big impact. When we come back to the Liva Reviva story, where the brands are not willing to pay, we haven't got any advancement. We invested almost like a few crores rupees in that, and that lines are remain idle, and we are not able to move ahead in that. The main reason being that we are not able to get the cost that we are spending onto it. So that is impact. On the LCA side, when we did an LCA for Liva Reviva, we could not take the credit because it's cotton. So the credit will have to go to cotton value chain unless until we do an end-to-end product, accountability. So on the LCA, we could not show and demonstrate that this is actually having a huge impact for the product. But the players in the value chain understand that this circular product is very important, and this is really having a huge impact, and it is going to reduce the landfill that is happening in textile. I hope I answered your questions.
No, quite insightful, and I think that's one of the reasons why an organization like Grasim, which is into multi-material, segment, is such an important for driving India's circularity ahead. But just moving beyond on material science, with the advents and the massive use of digital technology that we see in organizations, and plus considering the fact that your facilities run 24/7, and there's a lot of implementation of technologies, be it on predictive maintenance, be it on, we talked about digital traceability and so on and so forth. So how do you see digital enabling? I mean, one is of course the footprint of digital use itself, but how do you see digital enabling you to do better in terms of material efficiency, resource usage, and circularity in general?
This is very, very important. And in the roadmap that we built for our net zero journey for Grasim, we could estimate with one of our partners who have joined with us to do, there's a 10% of carbon reduction on account of digitalization and on account of, improvement in technologies. That's very important. At any given time, year-on-year basis, definitely there is an opportunity for you to relook into your equipment, and if you redo, refurbish, and go for new technologies, it will not only reduce your carbon footprint, it will reduce your energy footprint, thereby reduce your carbon. And there is an opportunity, and every year you will get that opportunity because the technology is advancing so fast and new drives are coming in. I remember way back when I started my career, people never used to speak about a variable frequency drive for a boiler feed pump, which used to be energy guzzler. Today they are putting variable frequency drive for the boilers. Thereby they are saving almost 30% of power. That's kind of advancement. Earlier, people never used to talk about any other material except in the ACC fan blades, except the steel blades. Today they are like, they went to aluminum, from aluminum they went to FRP, whereby they are reducing it. So there's a lot of interventions are possible that will bring a lot of efficiency, that will improve your overall, competitiveness, not only your footprints, but your competitiveness as well. That's point number one. Point number two, don't limit to only digital intervention to your process and your operations only. There is a lot of digital interventions required. Like for example, the example I gave in the previous question about the lead batteries. Unless until you know and you trace where this is coming from and where it is coming from, you will end up, buying from the wrong sources. Which is actually, you never know how this is actually being generated. So having a traceability is again another digital intervention which is important. And I brought this topic because I wanted to tell you a successful story where we used in our MMCF, where we have used this blockchain technology very successfully. It started way back in some 10, 12 years back, and we have been successfully running this, and we are providing this platform to all our brand partners, and globally around 180 brand partners and the entire value chain. Their supplier, all of them are on that particular platform and using it, whereby they could able to trace back right from forest to the end product. They can able to do it. So if you did the barcode that comes with Liva Reviva or Liva Eco, if you take it to, you scan that barcode, you will be able to see the forest from where the wood is sourced, where it's processed, which brand has actually given this product, and also which factories this yarn and fiber have been produced. And then you can go back and verify the credentials of these things. And apart from that, there is another thing that we have actually started is we put in some tracer into the fabric. And you take the tracer, and we have labs and we have our proprietary technology, and you bring your product there, and with the tracer in our lab, we can tell you the complete history of the bag, of the product. So these are some of the interventions that are happening on digitally in terms of, understanding what is the sustainability in the product. These are some of the things I wanted to tell the audience. This is becoming a need of our. These are all becoming part and parcel of your conceptualization of your product design or your business design. Unless until we understand that, it won't really, give you the global market access. And this is what I have seen with our paints business when we came up with. And because of that, we got a sustainability linked loan with IFC, which is around $150 million. There was some circularity in the design itself, like the water that is used in the process is being recirculated by using some fuzzy logic. And in paints, there are multiple colors, multiple SKUs. Using the water of the reactor back into it, it's not so easy unless until there is a digital intervention. So digital play a crucial role in sustainability.
Thank you, Surya. That was quite insightful. I think earlier during the fireside chat, Professor Vikram talked about India's net zero goal by 2070 and what's needed to achieve that goal. Primarily, if you look at India's ecosystem, there are 4 system transformations that are needed. We need energy systems to change. We need our logistics, transportation systems to change. We need our food systems to change. And we need our built environment. How do we construct our cities today to change? And if you look at the built environment, one of the largest driver for that comes from cement sector. And hence my next question is to you, Neeru. From a cement sector perspective, and since you today run the largest cement network companies across India, what has been some of the very interesting innovations around circularity, be it on product level innovation, be it around process by product utilization, or be it around material sciences that has delivered you the best outcome till date?
Okay, so I'll start with something like being from the cement sector and the second most contributor after the steel sector to the carbon emissions. So one thing we've started with, like when we acquired, as Adani, we acquired basically cement business, wholesale. So that major capacity addition came from those acquisitions. Now when you acquire from somebody and that to like wholesale, we had 2 choices. One, to do away with whatever wholesale had committed, or to adopt in Adani. So wholesale had a commitment of net zero. And then when we acquired, then we deliberated. So do we want to continue or we want to go away with that? So then the decision was, okay, let us get the targets validated now in the name of Adani. So we did the whole exercise again. And Adani Cement is the only leading cement player whose net zero targets are validated. There are other companies whose near-term targets are validated, but not the net zero ones. So getting the targets validated from SBTi only shows our commitment. Then comes the next thing, how are we going ahead with the circularity and the emission? I link both the things because both the things are somehow interlinked for us. Circularity, when we see, look at the scale at which we operate. We consume 22 million tons of waste a year. So think about that is 6 years of waste generation by Mumbai, or other cities, maybe more than that. So that is the scale of waste we consume. Now we will see both these things, one is as energy. So cement is energy intensive sector. We also need to see, what sector, what cost, business economics, and Anirban in the morning was bang on when he said it should make business sense. You can't, get the clearances from the leadership or the promoters to invest in things if the business economics is not there. So in cement manufacturing, 30% of the cost is fuel cost. Simple economics in cement is 30% fuel cost, 25% logistics, and 25% other raw material and those kind of things. That is the business economics. So energy is the biggest one. So we have invested a lot on using alternate fuels. There comes EPR also, plays a major role there because our own packaging material we need to generate. Plus we are consuming so much of municipal waste, so much of industrial waste as fuel. Other part also I'll touch. So that is the part where we have. Now for us it makes business sense. Of course there are challenges and there are multiple challenges also. Because if we consume that, our energy cost is reduced a lot. So it makes business sense for us because we have to first invest and then generate benefit. It's not straight away benefit because we have to invest in the pre-processing facilities, in the co-processing facilities. We have to make changes in the process. We have to set up labs, feeding systems, all those things. So those are the investments. And then we need that continuity, quality, all those things. So that is one part of the chain on circularity which is there. Which makes business sense to us, provided we have an assured supply and on the quantity and well as on the quality front. The other big change which we are making is using that in the blended cement. Our portfolio is 85% blended cement. Now, when I say blended cement, those from not from the cement sector, pure cement, right from clinker when you grind that is called OPC. But when you blend, that is called PPC. When you blend it mainly with fly ash, and when you blend it with fly ash and slag, it is called PSC. So many of the representatives here would be selling us some kind of waste. Whether those are steel manufacturers or those are packaging, whether that is Godrej or GSW or any other, plus our own plants because Adani is a big group. We are into multiple businesses. So our own Adani Power. So they generate lots of fly ash and the rules define that within 300 kilometers you need to sell it. So fly ash is the main component and if we don't use it, out of my 22 millions a year, 80% used is fly ash. Suppose we don't use it, then what will happen? That much lying on the land, it's not being used. So that is where we again design and slag is another thing. If we don't use, then all those companies which are into metal manufacturing and all those refineries, they will have huge mounds or hills of those things. So that is where the business comes into picture and linking it to the previous panels and the discussions there, the premium and all those things. Premium we don't get and there we need the policy support. We have been talking to the government that don't say in your projects OPC requirement. Call it based on strength of the cement required. The moment you say that, then I can blend the cement. I can meet those specifications, I can blend it, but don't put that cap. And the thumb rule is, if you have OPC, 1 ton is almost equal to 1 ton of CO2. And cement manufacturing, the major emission, 60% emission comes from the process, limestone calcination, CaCO3 to CaO and CO2 plus. So, how do you tackle that? When the process itself, your material itself is going to generate, there is nothing possible. That thing is only possible when I reduce the clinker content. Jitna clinker come, emissions proportionately utni come. So straight away from 1 ton, I will come to 600 kg a ton. You mix it with, blend it with slag, you will come to 400 something. So that is how the equations work and that is how the circularity system design works. But then the people have to come in support, the policy have to come in support, the buyer has to come in support. I can't manufacture a product which is not purchased. So I don't get a premium basically, but I need that kind of demand and that kind of support. And we are, I think, the biggest users of all kinds of waste. You talk about anything, because the 1400 degrees centigrade temperature in the kiln, that is not going to generate any toxic emissions. That can burn anything possible which has a calorific value, of course, not anything which doesn't have a calorific value. And that's how we are operating in this, and that is how we would like to go ahead. Now, coming to the innovation part of things, we are working on many things. Energy, as I said, is the major thing. So we are consuming lots of renewable because Adani is into renewables also. So we have committed engagements. We are also going for the electrification of kilns. Now that project also we announced and that announcement is in the public domain. We are also working with IIT Mumbai and a Swedish company now for CCUS because government is sponsoring that pre-feasibility studies. So intention from the business is there. commitment is also there. The journey has started, and I'm only hopeful, positive turn it will take. So we will play our part in the India's net zero thing, and we will achieve that before time. So we will achieve by 2050, India may reach it by 2070.
See, as I told you while we were talking, that I don't want this panel discussion should be a Q&A. So one of the most important in these two conversations was in silos, we have brilliance in whatever we do. Product design, you have brilliant minds put in everything together, the best in the world. If you see the cement characteristics that we use in this country, they are the brilliant, they are the best in the world. Similarly, if you go to the construction, the design asks for the best in the world to get the best design. But what happens is these two are different silos. In between is a gap. Now what is required is the policy requires to look into these gaps, bridge those gaps. That is where we will be able to achieve an excellence, and we will be able to achieve circularity, we will be able to achieve sustainable manufacturing or sustainable livelihood. That's my only point.
No, very, I think very apt, and that's one of the reasons when we talk about UN SDGs, there is a concept called concentric rings, which basically talks about putting SDGs into, varying concentric rings. And at the top of that ring sits one specific idea called collaboration, which means that this is such a massive and complex problem that none of us can solve it alone. But together, we can certainly solve it. So I think very, very apt. But Neeru, while you were talking about the innovation piece, you also mentioned about one of the policy advocacy around utilizing blended cement, and I still remember that it was being floated that if there is a non-load bearing structures, can we use blended cement because it doesn't require the kind of strength that probably OPC cement delivers. So it seems that the policy plays a very, very significant role in built environment and also in terms of how cement companies behave. So to that extent, I just wanted to ask a question that from a policy intervention standpoint, be it around EPR for construction and demolition waste, be it around standards for recycled construction materials, or be it around green, green building codes, right? What are the initiatives that you feel will deliver the most impact from a circularity for built environment? And related to that, for an organization like Adani, which is such a behemoth in the industry, how can you play a role in this?
So the main problem or the main issue right now we face is, if I manufacture, for example, from the business point of view, if I sell OPC and if I sell PPC, I don't get the price differential in terms of, that you sell OPC at a much higher price, which will have at least 30% more CO2 emission. So I don't get that advantage. But if the policy supports us in a way that, as I said earlier, the government projects or the government procurement, for example, they start removing that word OPC from the tenders, which is, age-old kind of thing, putting that, OPC for the infrastructure projects. So suppose they remove that and only mention this strength, then we can blend different items. And that role will come on the circularity, because then we will be able to consume so much of fly ash and so much of slag into that in the blending, because those are the two major blending ingredients. And third is the waste gypsum, which comes from chemical industry when they neutralize their waste waters. So gypsum in any case will not play that big a role as fly ash and slag would play, I will say that way. Now, if the government starts doing that, one, on that front, on their own green procurement things. Second, if they start asking the private sector or the private developers to use a minimum kind of, low carbon cement and have some kind of, right now we don't have any standards in the country for low carbon cements. We have standards for OPC, PPC, PSC, but nothing like low carbon cements or green cement. Nothing like that exists so far. So if they start saying, okay, in this project, leave aside, load bearing, non-load bearing, because just say that 15% or 20% should be low carbon cement. That will also help the industry to sell their products. So that will generate the demand in the market which is not there. If the demand is there, the industry will have the confidence to invest. So it's not like nothing comes free. No? Anything you have to do, you have to invest. And if I'm not assured of the returns, we are into business, not charity. One thing should be very clear. And we are for-profit businesses. We are not non-profit organizations. So until and unless it doesn't make sense, we are not going to make those kind of capital investments. So we recently, just last week, 3-4 days ago, we announced in the public domain our partnership with Coolbrook, which is electrification of one of our kilns, and a percentage of that only. It's a huge 3-digit crores investment, and just 5% of that single plant fuel consumption. Such heavy capital investment. If I'm not assured of the returns, how will those investments happen? And how will you convince? So that is where, all these things, policy, collaborations, talking to each other, having a common agenda, having some kind of influence on policy making and all those things, which I will say it's not favoring the industry, it's favoring the environment. We are the people who will do those capital investment, provided we are assured of the returns that our investments will be fruitful. It's not expecting anything more. Thank you.
Thank you, Neeru. And switching gears from heavy industries to plastics, where the challenge is different, but it's equally urgent, I would say. And Lucro is actually showing the way that recycled plastics, from a performance standpoint, can match, virgin. So from this, my question to you, Pratibha, is that what is the product innovation that is in circularity space that has actually helped you to deliver, or that has helped you to take the biggest leap in this space?
I'm just going to take off from where Neeru left, where we're in the business of making profit. We were very clear from the beginning as well that although we are in the business of sustainability, in the sense that we are making more sustainable products, we had to make sure that every decision we make is economically sustainable as well, because if we didn't, we would have to shut shops and, the business is going to close down. And collection in itself, or, waste collection in itself is a loss-making activity in probably any country, but I'm going to talk for India. I'll just tell you a little bit of brief of what Lucro does as well. We started with manufacturing primarily flexible plastics. Started recycling around 2016 because we saw that there was a lot of raw material in terms of post-consumer waste that was available. And then even further sort of backward integrated because we realized that securing waste material was very important. It was a big risk to the company as well. So we started our own collection centers and in order to secure material. When EPR came in, demands really rose up. That's had a huge impact on our business as well. We have expanded to the point of where, we're doing at least 50 to 100% incremental revenues from the previous years. And because of which it's enabled us to even start working with municipalities, because we had to look beyond the aggregator model of where we're just picking up material from other people. We started working with tier 3 cities mostly. You walk into any landfill of a tier 3 city, they, of maybe a population of 50 to 60,000 people, and just a year's worth of waste is you walking through at least 4 or 5 lanes with mountains up till probably around 7 feet. And unfortunately, they don't know what to do with their waste. And they want some sort of intervention as well. They want something to happen so that, because the cost of them just sending that material for incineration is too high for them to bear. So that's where we've been able to sort of come in as well. Coming back to the core of your question, what are some of the products that we have seen a lot of benefit in, initially we used to do a lot of retail bags, etc. And 70% of what we did used to be exported because there just wasn't enough of a demand in India. Post EPR, because the demands really rose, it's completely opposite now where about 70-80% of what we're doing is domestic. A lot of secondary packaging is where we started from because those were slightly low-hanging fruits, I'll say. To a point where we're supplying to, I think, almost every FMCG, retail, automotive in India with secondary packaging. Of course, then we have moved on to also doing primary packaging more recently. Primary packaging in non-food categories. We're doing now, even more recently, we're doing ELV and non-ELV grades from PP to basically automotive segment. And I think it's a constant sort of an innovative or constant sort of R&D process as well, where you have to keep investing in newer innovative products. Our most latest thing is where we are working on food grade aspects as well. There's a lot of testing that we've done over the last 2 or 3 years, where for certain categories of foods we think the product is ready, but of course it's now into sort of trial runs.
Great. And now let's address one of the biggest question that I think everybody in this room grapples with. That's the scale barrier. Right. So, what do you think is the major barrier, whether it's economical or is it behavioral, that that is stopping us to scale circularity in a big way, specifically in sectors like FMCG, retail, food, and so on and so forth? And what is an industry action that could actually help us to reduce that barrier? Industry or from, let's say, from a policy standpoint.
I can speak from our experience. I think one of the biggest barriers we had pre-EPR, I will say, because post-EPR, it's compliance that's kicked in, so people have to take it. They are taking it anyway. Pre-EPR, it was resistance to change, I will say, because although the sustainability departments of all the companies were pretty active about sort of having these conversations, the packaging departments were kind of working in silos. And I mean, they do probably still to date, where you've had a buy-in from the head office, but you have to go physically into every factory to make sure that your product is, of course, the trial runs and stuff will go through, but you have to physically be in close sort of contact with the factory heads who are managing the packaging of that particular place. So a resistance to change from them that, ye to abhi tak acha chal raha hai, to abhi kya change karna hai? Then, okay, what's in it for me? If you're not going to give it to me for a certain lesser percentage, then why do I bother? Everything's going fine. Of course, that's where compliance has helped us. And I'm not saying that this is not, the sustainability heads of companies always did want to kind of get something in place. It was, unfortunately, maybe even they cannot convince, companies are huge. They probably cannot convince every packaging manager to sort of take up products as well. But I think, yeah, resistance to change was it. What we can do from our end, I think what I said earlier, it's innovating in newer products, trying to look for newer places where your packaging can work, showing good test results, etc., to the companies as well. If they see actual, packaging in passing good trial runs and actually in work where what they need it for, it can be used for, they will take it up. And as long as the economics match as well. And I mean, that's something that we've been always conscious of, that unless the economics also work out for the company, no one's going to take it up, which is fair.
Thank you, Pratibha. And now from plastics, we are moving on to the energy sector. And let's talk about wind energy, because Nishtha, you come from Suzlon, which is a prominent wind turbine manufacturer in the country. And wind energy, per se, if you see, it's very material intensive, both from a design, manufacturing, and then, of course, from a decommissioning standpoint, right? So I would be very interested to know that what kind of innovations from a design and material standpoint that Suzlon has been undertaking, be it around lightweighting or using alternate materials and so on and so forth, to reduce the overall life cycle impact.
Sure, thank you. I would like to take this question. So as Suzlon, our mission is always powering a greener tomorrow. And for the past 3 decades, we are there in this business. And when we talk about that, we have been working across the entire product life cycle. And if I tell you about what we have been doing recently in this space, Suzlon is known for the turbines which are there on the ground, of course, for the OMS. But before that, what we do is manufacturing. We are there in the EPC business. We are there in the entire OMS, which precisely means from manufacturing till 20 years down the lane is something what we used to do. In between, we also have a forging and foundry business. So that's also there in between, right? So we provide from there. So it's an interrelated business line which is providing to our business itself. So when we talk about our products and services, I think we are the ones who took accountability of what products we are manufacturing. When we talk about the sustainability model at Suzlon, let me just touch upon that and then I'll take you through the journey. We have got 3 streams on which we work. One is at the sustainability excellence at the organization level. The other one is the product sustainability, and the third lever is supply chain. Now, all goes hand in hand. When I say that, what it really means is that it's not going to be only the material indicators on what we really work on the organizational piece of it. On the product level, we are taking accountability of what we manufacture, what you said about till the decommissioning. So, how we are doing this? From R&D till the decommissioning, we are taking care of each and everything as to what goes on into the turbine. And one thing which I can take from Surya's point on epoxy resin. So that's something which we have been able to manage at this point of time. So our epoxy resin, what we use in WTG, what he rightly mentioned is 100% recyclable, and we're fortunate to be using that one as well. And that's there, that is attributing to the recyclability potential, and that has helped us into the circularity part of it. So on each and every component of turbine is something that we are focusing on. I'll touch upon what all we do. On the material substitution, on things on how do we optimize local sourcing, all of that. So when we talk about Suzlon turbines, recently, for the last 5-6 years, you might have seen that we're using lattice towers instead of the conventional tubular towers. There's a reason for that. It uses less of steel. We have worked upon the material optimization. That's one part of it. Now the recent turbine S144, which is a 3 megawatt series, we have even worked upon how far the lattice tower tubular section can also be optimized. Earlier, even the lattice tower that we were working on S120 was using around 103 metric tons of the tubular section, steel one. Now we have reduced it even further. That's again on working again and again on the R&D perspective. That is now 39 metric tons. Which means we have reduced it, right? So I'm talking about the quantitative figures so that, it takes into consideration of, how the things are being carried out. Now we started working on where do we stand at this point of time. So we are working with 83.25% of tier 1 local suppliers. When we talk about the scrap, we are using steel scrap. Around 200 plus kg of steel scrap is used in manufacture of each and every tower. That's what is happening around. Beyond that, what we are doing, we are working with low carbon steel. So 2.2 metric ton is something that we are using within the overall manufacturing of the WTG that you see. So that's something about what we have been doing on and off in the entire life cycle. Beyond that, what we were quite interested in, fine, we worked with local sourcing, 83.25, but is it really giving us impact? And then of course on the material substitution. So when we talk about, let's say, epoxy resin being one, which was really a tricky aspect when you talk about decommissioning. Because what will you do with your blades? Right? Even if you do a shading, how will you dispose that? That's going to be very tricky. But now it is being sorted. And thanks, Surya, for bringing it up. In fact, we are working quite closely with the team on that part. So once we took into accountability of where do we stand on product carbon footprint now. So we have got the lowest product carbon footprint in the world. In fact, this was there in the news, media, everywhere. It's 6.17 grams CO2 equivalent per kilowatt hour of electricity generation. That is a cradle to grave impact that we have of S144. Now what we are doing next is the overall. So I can agree with my co-panelist on economic viability. Till the time it doesn't make any business sense, it doesn't mean anything. But what we are trying to do is the pilots. How we can go into multiple pilots. So the turbine is not something that you can change the model overnight. So when we talk about the R&D which is happening at the moment, and for the next turbine that we are launching, we are taking into consideration what could be, if I have to tell you overall perspective, the material substitution that can go on to the design and can reduce the cost. It's technically viable, it's available in India, and actually take into consideration the circularity perspective. So that's what we are doing over there. Now, in the circularity model, it's not just the gate-to-gate boundary, which precisely means that what we manufacture, we are just going to take into accountability of that. We are working with the suppliers as well. So both on the upstream, downstream side of it. And we are taking the entire life cycle, when I say cradle to grave, and think about what we can do, just like what we did on, epoxy resin is one part of it. Beyond that, there are a lot of other materials that we are using, apart from blade as well, on each and every section of the turbine. It could be nacelle as well. We are working on the nacelle part too, which is least talked about. So that's something that we are taking into consideration what we need to do with the suppliers in the upstream side of it. On the local and sustainable sourcing of raw material. We are even working toward responsible sourcing and the traceability part of it. And on the downstream side, how we can utilize that. If I have to give you a perspective of what is happening with the blades. The blades are being used and in fact is integrated into the CSR and sustainability objective. Like, for example, when I have to tell you what is happening with the blade is that we are using it for toilet blocks. Now we are considering, embedding into the sanitation hygiene theme. So in the areas in India wherein there is an issue in the sanitation and the females are not able to access toilets, we are making toilet blocks for them. We are also using it for making boats. We are also providing it to mining companies and even shelter, sheds, you name it, and I can tell even labor colonies for that matter. So that's what is happening with the blade. So now there are two streams. One on the manufacturing defect side of it and the other one on the decommissioning side. When you talk about even the batteries for that matter, which might be, defunct for the WTG at the OMS side of it. Earlier we used to operate for 20 years. Now we have, with a lot of measures embedded into the turbine on the design side of it, we've increased the life cycle. So now it is 25 years. That's already there. So on that perspective, if I have to tell you what is happening over there, we are using that battery over there into the solar UPS part of it. So that is being there with the homes, a lot of homes we are providing over there in the community side of it, and that's giving us second life to it. So that's what is happening, a couple of initiatives which I spoke about, which is already there, and now we are taking the next leap on what could be the next model.
Thank you, Nishtha. And I think very quickly, in the interest of time, just a quick question that not many organizations or many people know that you sit on tons of operational data, and a lot of this data is can be used in a very, very intelligent fashion. So my next question is that how is Suzlon utilizing this data to drive more resource efficiency, life extension, product innovation, and so on and so forth?
So in Suzlon, we are working on sustainability not just within the sustainability department. We are working right from the design, which precisely means a team sitting in Germany, in India, and henceforth across the entire one. And we are working all the way from design to see to it that these are the things that we need to work on. If I have to give you just a quick understanding of how we work, we have our KPIs even for the design team. So in terms of sustainability, the KPIs are being driven not just within the organization and starting impacting the CEO remuneration, it's also impacting the design team KPIs. So you might be scoring 100%, but if you don't score on sustainability parameters that we have given to them, you're not going to get evaluated on that. So that way what is happening is that we are keeping them involved and we are discussing with them what could be the next level of sustainability excellence. Because see, what is happening is that we can provide a lot of inputs, right? These are the areas which are there, and then, we can have tie-ups with multiple academic institutions, which we are doing at the moment. We are running a very big project with IITs for that matter. that what could be the next model. Now, this is the level of seriousness that we have within the organization. Beyond that, we are working on a very big project on circularity, on seeing what we could do, which is going to be a very different stuff in the energy sector, which could take up to the next level. But what is going to be coming up from the technical team, the TG team? So what we're doing is that we have done life cycle assessment for all products, which is also there into the sustainability report. Now, with the level of understanding on each and every category, we are taking it up back to them, saying that, this is the category wherein we need to work on. This is the category what exactly your understanding is, and we are also, on the other side of the table, we are also working towards that with the alternatives provided by them. And based on the economic viability, based on, how much it is feasible, available in India, we are taking a option whether we need to go ahead with this or not. So that's something which is an ongoing process, and it's still happening around.
Thank you, Nishtha, for that. And we will take quick 2 questions for the panelists.
Hello everyone. My name is Renu. I'm from IIT Kanpur. And I think it was a very insightful discussion. Learned a lot today about sustainability and how big companies are actually serious about it. My question is, what breakthrough in material or technology do you believe will transform sustainability in the next decade?
That's going to be different for every industry.
The design of the product with a mindset of circularity itself will be the breakthrough. That is what is even the EPR is asking in Europe. So, yeah, that's a simple answer I can give you. Otherwise, I will have to get into what she was saying, that depending on which product and all. But coming back to one of the points I was wanted to talk about is, I think I answered. One of the points is what is the resistance for the circularity? Please understand the input material, the feedstock for circularity is coined as waste. The moment you think you are coining it as waste, you think there is no value to it. Since there is no value, it should be lower than your virgin raw material cost. That's not the case. The problem with that is, if it is a waste that need to be brought back into the product as a feedstock, that is a product which has been used, has multiple components to it. And those multiple components need to be disintegrated again. Then you can reuse into your feedstock. Otherwise, you are actually creating a product with a lot of impurities. You will not have productivity. Then you will not have the profitability in operating the product. So circularity requires that much of investment. That's why it is important in the beginning of any product journey in the circular product to pass on the cost, and then thereby, based on the economies of scale, as you practice it, these things will, over a period of time, these costs will subside and they will be eventually reach to a place where the cost will be comfortable for the entire value chain. But the journey is very painful. The journey has to start.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I have just one small question. I understand that the companies are very serious about sustainability and they're doing a lot of work around designing, manufacturing and all that. Just a thought came in my mind that are the companies working towards making their consumer aware about sustainability? Is there anything happening from that side? For example, I'm a consumer. I consume companies' products. So am I getting educated that how I can also, support the environment? Is there anything happening around them, or are the companies thinking around it?
So you can take that up for me. Yes, and not just as a company, as sort of being part of groups of, for example, we're a part of this India Plastics Pact. We have been devising over the last 6 months or so how to talk to public about educating them on EPR, maybe not the nuances of EPR, but why waste segregation in itself is important. And that's something that you'll see coming out soon. Besides that, the government also mandates every, every nagarpalika, every sort of municipality to conduct IEC activities. At least I can talk about from plastic point of view, right? Where it is compulsory for them to educate your local sort of citizens in your area about how to segregate waste, what is the right way, wrong way. Of course, some municipalities are doing it more seriously, others might not be taking it as seriously, but it is happening. And there's a lot of work happening on ground. Can't speak so much for the tier 1 aspect, but definitely in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, there's a lot of work going on ground to educate people about good segregation, why it's important. There are, numerous school activities that also take place now where people are trying to sort of teach right from the kid level so that hopefully the kids will go back and teach their parents as well, that this actually can get recycled, and that is what recycling means. So, yeah.
I'll just add on over here. So, when you go on to any mall and when you look around for, sustainable fabric, or when you look around for, your shoes with IFCC plus certification and things like that, I think there's a lot of awareness already to the general masses when we talk about. And these days, that's picking up the market, and then you have a amount of demand also being created on generic consumer goods and services. Regarding our sector, I can speak about what we are doing in this space. We are working with the biggest of industrial conglomerates, and we are working with the retail sectors as well. And what I spoke is coming all the way from heart, and we keep them, we keep making them aware of the new consumers or the new customers that we add on even in the retail sector, that this is why it is going to help you in decarbonization. It's not just that we are only providing renewable energy, but we are also providing you these machines which can help you the decarbonization, so the ultimate objective that we have as an organization. So that's one part of it. We also provide awareness on an ongoing basis that what are the new things coming up. That's also the second way to get the things done. The third way is how we are disseminating it to the masses is that, let's say, Friday we have got a session with the supply chain. All the major suppliers are coming up to our premises. And that's happening with the Suzlon and UNGC collaboration. So we are, disseminating this information that your corporation led to a major, achievement, and then we have achieved together with the help of the value chain partners. And that's even providing a lot of encouragement to them to be, getting more insights and to work and collaborate in this journey. And not only to them, not only limited to them, but we are also inviting the other sectors also for the cross collaboration, so that we understand together. Because I think this is something wherein we need to talk. Circularity cannot be kept within the doors. We need to talk more. We need to understand. We need to at least discuss on what could be the takeaways and how we can learn from each other. So I think there are a lot of things happening in each and every sector. There's of course awareness. There's also the consumer is also aware. In fact, there's a lot of push coming up from investors as well, and that's how it's encouraging the demand for sustainable products, and I think everybody's working towards it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. So thank.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Matrika. I'm from the Research Hub for Green Energy and Sustainability at IIT Bombay. I was very tempted because the panel has a group of CSOs in the panel. So I think this is a question beyond sustainability. Everybody talked about awareness and everything, but I had a question for all of you, whoever wants to answer, regarding the workforce that works with you with respect to sustainability. Do you see like a scope for more human resource improvement as well? How do we upskill our existing workforce with respect to sustainability to take forward this agenda that we are talking about? Like ma'am was talking about the challenges with having your entire, maybe talking to factory heads with respect to sustainability, getting them on board as well. Is there an improvement needed in the workforce as well? And how can we bridge that gap? Yeah, thanks.
I think I'll start with there because, the business has, for example, our business, that is 46 manufacturing sites within cement. Okay, so, and then different corporate functions. So when we started the journey, and not many functional leaders would talk about ESG. Not many functional leaders would talk about recycling or water positive or tree plantation or carbon footprint or logistics. But once you start talking about these things, start sitting with them, now what has happened over 2 years or 2.5 years after our acquisition, the moment they take an initiative, they have started linking things. For example, our logistics team, they would very proudly say, हमने इतने EV order कर दिए हैं. Okay, so the moment they ordered the cranes, because in our case cranes are very expensive, so CEO himself told me, Neeru, this time we have ordered EV cranes. Okay, so those kind of dialogues have started happening. It is also on CSO's part how much they want to get out of their core team, interact with the other functional leaders and make them understand how things are linked. So that is happening, and as you come to the plant teams, for example, at corporate you take certain decisions. Those are at leadership level. But many of the decisions, they need to be executed at plant level. For example, our water positivity, Ambuja is 12 times water positive. Industries are struggling to be water neutral. So we are 12 times water positive, but that we need to keep on hammering on them, And we are not water intensive sector. Cement manufacturing is a dry process. So we don't need to do so much there. But because that's a goal we have taken on ourselves, we keep on hammering on them. Okay, how much? What other initiatives you have taken for water conservation? What in societies, communities where you operate? So that dialogue is building that kind of sensitivity within business. I won't say that, it has reached the peak. It is a continuous process. It's a journey, which is an ongoing journey, and the new expectations would also keep on coming, and the new actions would also keep on happening. But it is there now. And it is up to the CSOs and the core teams to have that awareness. Until and unless I don't talk to my HR head, say, we are talking right now about environmental sustainability. What about people? What about CSR? Big businesses, they have hundreds and crores for CSR. So if we don't tell them, okay, which are your focus areas, this is our vision. So if we don't align those things, then things won't happen. So those kind of dialogues are happening, and that way we have to take up that responsibility to have those conversations around. And sometimes those are going to be difficult conversations. Somebody might say, isme kya pada hai? For example, somebody was talking about supply chain and this. At my home only, I am the CSO. My husband is one of the supply chain leaders of another big business. So years ago when we started talking about these things, he made it possible to make the packaging biodegradable. That time EPR was not there. Now EPR has come in. So now when he says, okay, mera 40 crore gaya isme EPR mein, he doesn't take that as a cost, he takes that as responsibility. So it many times it starts from home also. When the two of us working in big businesses, it will happen. So that will happen, that's a responsibility, and we have to deliver on that.
Thank you, Neeru, and thank you, Bombay Chambers, for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, panel, and thank you all the guests.
Thank you, distinguished guests. Can we have a round of applause for this wonderful panel? And I request Mr. Anirban Ghosh, Chairperson of our Sustainability Committee, to present you all with appreciation from the chamber. Yeah. Can we have a round of applause for this very wonderful distinguished panel with all the Chief Sustainability Officers of leading corporates? Thank you, ladies. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Dr. Neeru Bansal, yeah. Okay. She's a CSO from Adani Cement. Ms. Pratibha, Dewett from Lucro. and Miss Nishtha from Suzlon Energy. And Mr. Mohanty from PwC. Yeah. I will wait back for a group photograph. We'll change it. Yeah. It's okay. I will have a group photograph. We can just come forward, please. Yeah, thank you. And now, as we come to the end of a very eventful day, I would like our Director General, Mr. Sandeep Khosla, to give the vote of thanks. Yeah. Over to you, Mr. Khosla.
Thanks, Tina. I think we had a wonderful session today, very interactive and extremely informative. Wednesday well spent, especially in an area where a lot of traffic these days. So we were not very sure as to how many people will actually turn up. Because most people think about coming from east to west, although now, because of the sea-link, the other side is completely empty for people to come. So thank you all once again for being here. My special thanks to PwC, Sandeep is here for putting this together. Anirban, our chairperson of the Sustainability Committee. Anirban has been at this for the last 4 or 5 years, and every year we think of a new concept, a new idea, which, and a lot of ideas times have come. I mean, circular economy, we've been practicing this at our homes for ages. Everyone knows that. I come from an industry, my background is media. Ages back again, newspapers were the ones which we used to circulate. And there was money in it as well. Raddi was always being sold. So whatever was, so it's an old concept in a new world, which I think as we go along, becomes far more important. At the Bombay Chamber, I would just like to inform all of you, for all those who do not know, in next 1 month, we celebrate our 190th Foundation Day, 190. So we've been around for a long, long time. And any concept which comes up, Bombay Chamber is the first one to take it up and ensure that it is percolated around to all its members, whether sustainability, 7, 8 years back, we started working on this, hand-holding a lot of our MSMEs, because although the large companies had a mandate, MSMEs had no idea what to do. The chamber, with Anirban's help, did a lot of work there. In fact, he volunteered saying that Mahindra had done a lot of work in their factories for water conservation. So we spoke to MSMEs saying that why don't you come, people who have very small units, and how Mahindras could help them without them having to invest money in this. Again, D&I is very, very important for us at the Bombay Chamber, although the US President doesn't feel that it's important enough. At each of our events, we try to ensure that there is enough representation from every segment. Also, sustainability is something which we practice. Today, for example, we have 3 events lined up, one after the other. We've just finished this. We have a huge mutual fund event happening after this, and then another one on SEBI compliances, where the executive director of SEBI is coming in. So we try and see that we optimize whatever we do at the chamber. In case you're not members of the Bombay Chamber, please become a member. Help us take all these things forward. As we start our journey in a month towards our 200th year, we would need as much help and support from all of you as we can. And there's so much learning to get. We do almost 120 of these events in a year. Some of them at our office in Ruby, a lot of them virtually, and some big ones out here in various hotels, because we cannot accommodate more than 100 people at our premises in Ruby. So thank you once again. My team, Shruti and Seena, have really worked hard to put this together, calling up everyone and double calling sometimes. So please join us for lunch, and may I request all of you to please carry your belongings outside, because the hall would be made ready for the mutual fund conclave, where we have all the stars, right from Nilesh Bhai of Kotak AMC to Navneet Munot to Mr. Sikka. So exciting mutual fund conclave after this. Some of you have time, stay back and join us for that. Otherwise, see you very soon. Thank you once again.